Welcome to Motivational Monday. I am trainer Lisa McCrary, and as always, I am so happy that you guys are here with me today. I hope you guys are all doing well. We're going to actually jump right into Motivation Monday. And as always, I love to start our Motivation Monday with a quote for the week. So let's turn to that. This week quote actually is something that I found, and I just came across it, and it just really resonated with me when I read it. So I'm going to share it with you guys. Make your why more important than your fear. I'm going to repeat that again. Make your why more important than your fear. All of us have reasons why we do the things that we do to accomplish our dreams for ourselves and for our families. When you decided to become an independent broker, I'm sure you had your reasons, and it probably was a really difficult choice. Maybe it could have been that you weren't happy in your current job. Maybe you lost your current job. Maybe you just wanted to build something special, your empire for your family. Or maybe it was just something as simple as just needing to put food on the table and a roof over your head. Either way, something happened that brought you to where you are today. And that is where this quote helps us to remind us to stay grounded and faithful to our dreams and to our goals. I would be the last person to say that making the decision to be an entrepreneur is an easy decision, because it is not. But the rewards in doing so are tremendous and can be great. That is why this quote for me just really made a lot of sense, and it really resonated with me. Make your why, no matter what your why is, no matter what your reason for making the decisions that you made to get to where you are today, be more important than your fear of how you're going to get there. Fear can become paralyzing. To be honest, making 150 calls a day or visiting 20 businesses daily just to be told no 80% of the time is pretty scary. Making your first web page when you have no idea how to make a web page can be very scary, and self-doubt can easily creep in. But keep remembering, guys, your why you decided to take the plunge. And with that, I would say another tactic I like to do with my why is I also like to write it down, because when I'm in doubt, I like to pick up that piece of paper and I like to use that as my motivation. So once again, guys, make your why, the reason why you are doing the things that you're doing, more important than your fear. Now, welcome again, my friends, to Motivational Monday. Let's look at the topics for the week. We're going to start off just the way we always do with our tips for the week. Then we're going to go straight into some of our sales shout outs, recognizing some of our top carriers and sales agents. And last but not least, we will review our sales topic for the week, which is how to close more deals by asking the right question. And I really, really love this topic because it made a huge benefit, I would say, and I was trying to think of the word I wanted to use, a huge benefit in how I was able to close business. But first, we're going to start off with our tips for the week. So this first tip that we have is actually coming from National General, and National General is offering an incentive for selling Medicare supplement plans now through September 30th. You can qualify for up to $300 extra in incentive. Now, there are no limits to how much you can earn with this incentive, and the cash bonus actually kicks in once you hit 3 Medicare supplement plan sales. So if you're out there selling Medicare supplement plan make sure that, and it's a Nat General plan, make sure that you are taking advantage of this incentive, because to me, in addition to your normal commission, this is just extra money in your pocket. The next tip for the week comes from United Health. They are offering plenty of incentive for selling certain medical health care plans within the third quarter. Now, there are 3 ways that you can earn this incentive, which is pretty darn cool. The first one is that first box on your screen, and it just says if you submit one tri-term medical application by October 31st and have it issued by November 15th, you will be eligible for added incentive up to $350 per application. The more applications that you have, the higher your incentive. So that's the first way you can do it. Then the second way you can earn extra incentive with UHC is just by submitting any application, any combination of applications where you're selling 10 short-term medical and or health protector guard applications, and you can earn up to $100 cash bonus per issued policy starting with the very first application. So although the qualifier is doing a combination of 10 of the short-term medicals or the health protector guards, you will start getting paid on that first application. But guys, if that is not enough, they also are going to provide incentive for selling comprehensive plans by adding in those ancillaries. So the ancillaries that you see on the screen: dental, critical illness, accident, Healthiest You, that's the telehealth plan that is out there with United Health. You sell those additional plans, you're going to earn an extra $30. Now, in order to participate with this is something that is important. You do have to register. So make sure that you, actually, I went too far. Make sure that you are registering for this. Now, where you go to register for this is to AHCPsales.com. So if you just go to ahcpsales.com and go to incentive and bonuses, you'll be good to go and you'll be able to sign up for this particular bonus. Now let's move on to one of my favorite parts of the day is our sales shout outs. We're going to first start with our highlights of our most popular carriers for the week of August 9th, 2021. So in short-term medical sales, UHC Golden Rule really stole the show. Limited med sales, I would say that one was National General all the way. Accident sales, sold quite a few accident policies this past week, and the National General Plan Enhancer. If you guys aren't familiar with that one, that's a pretty good plan, and it sold. There were quite a few sold last week. Critical illness, UHC Golden Rule stole the show there, specifically with their Health Protector Guard. So that's another one you might want to get familiar with. Dental plans. National General continues to do well with their NatGen 2020 dental, vision, and health plans. So those are the things that sold last week. If you're unfamiliar with any of those plans, you might want to take a look at them because, you know, there were quite a few sales last week with those particular policies. Now let's turn to our superstars for last week. I love the superstars. I love talking about our superstars. So let's see who did what. Short-term medical sales, we had Jacob Gordon leading the way. Then we had Daniel Reese, and then, or I think it's Rice, or I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And then it would not be a week if we did not see Katia Santamaria. She is there every single week and she is doing her thing. So congratulations to all three of them. When it comes to limited med, Blake Bowman, he's another familiar name that we see there. And Andrew Beadnell, those two individuals led the way in limited med sales. And then for accident sales, we had Jacob Gordon again. So he must have had a really good week. And then Jonathan Donato. Those are our leaders in sales in those categories for the week. I want to congratulate all of them for all of their success and also for helping out their clients, because when we look at this, especially when I look at Gordon, it looks like Gordon is selling complete packages because I see him on the short-term med as well as the accident. So that to me is a comprehensive plan. He's selling more than just one thing. So great job and congratulations to all of our folks that we highlighted. Now let's turn our attentions to our sales topic for the week: how to close more deals by asking the right questions. We can spend really about 1 to 2 hours talking about this particular topic, but I only have about 10 minutes or so in order to do that. So we're going to try and make the best of it in 10 minutes. I'm even going to provide you guys with a script at the very end that I hope that you guys will find helpful. But helping clients to clarify their own thinking by asking questions that encourages them to think of things or solutions that maybe they wouldn't have normally thought about in the past. That's what we're trying to do here. A lot of times our clients come to us with preconceived notions of what they need, or maybe what someone has told them that they need, and it might not always be true. And they really need to have that consultative in you in order to figure out what is the best thing that is out there for them. There's a way to ask qualifying questions that will help you get the answers you want as well as the answers that you need. Now, these quick questions will make you that valued consultant that your client needs. And taking this approach, not only do you get a better understanding of their needs, but they can also start to see how your solutions can benefit them. Now, on the flip side of this, the wrong questions can almost always guarantee to generate the wrong answer. And specifically, I'm going to just spend a minute on the wrong questions. Usually those are those close-ended questions where you're going to get yes, no, and you're not going to have your client elaborate. For instance, here is one. Do you need insurance? So at the very beginning of the call, I've heard an agent say, do you need insurance? Well, yeah, they contacted you. They need insurance. That's a given. And that's going to be a yes, no question. And they're not going to elaborate. But how much better is it when you say something like, what has you looking for insurance? So if you were to ask them, what has you looking for insurance? A lot of times that's going to give you a more detailed answer from your client. Actually, if you ask the right questions also at the wrong time. So say if you are asking a budget question and you decide at the very beginning of your conversation, you ask them, so what budget are you looking for? You almost look like that greedy salesperson who only, that is interested in commission, which they don't realize that doesn't matter for you, but you look like that person that is only interested in what they're going to spend, and you just don't want to do that. So the budget question is one of the most crucial questions we can ask, but there's a time we need to ask during the conversation. So let's ask ourselves, what are the right questions to ask our clients? So in doing that, let's talk about the gather. It sounds simple, but really it's really easy to understand, and it's also will help you to close a lot more business. And I can hear some people out there right now saying, what the heck is the gather, Lisa? Well, I'm going to tell you. The gather is really a process of establishing predetermined questions you can ask your clients to best understand their situation. So the key here is predetermined questions. So these are questions that you are going to come up with that's going to help them help you understand their needs and help them see where you're going with your conversation. Personally, I like to use a gathering worksheet similar to the sample that I have on the screen, but you don't need to overcomplicate this process when you're designing your gathering worksheet. Anyone can make their own gathering worksheet that contains questions that identify their client's needs. Now, to create this worksheet is pretty simple. Just really you're just simply asking questions, specifically open-ended questions that you normally would ask your questions, but there is a way to ask those questions. Some important things to keep in mind in developing your gathering worksheet is, what do you need to know from your client? Once again, open-ended questions, not closed-ended questions. You want to use words when you're in the very beginning and you're asking those initial questions. You want to use words like tell me, help me understand, explain to me. What is your current situation? Or starting off with what is. Or how would this benefit you if? So using those open-ended starting words, that's going to foster more conversation and more words that your client is going to use to describe their situation. Next, you want to ask questions that will get your client thinking beyond what they think they know about insurance or what they think they need from insurance. Now, you guys are the experts. So you know what they need. You know the products that are out there, but they don't. They only know what they think they need or what they think they've heard. The way we do that is by identifying pains and pleasures. So what does Lisa mean by pains and pleasures? For example, if you want a client to think about dental insurance without coming right out and asking them, are you interested in dental insurance? Which, by the way, will get you a quick, no, I'm not interested because it costs more money and I'm not here to pay more money. Instead of saying it in those terms, you want to say something to the effect of, how important are your teeth to you? And of course, in their mind, they might think it, or they even might say it, that my teeth are very important. I can't eat without my teeth. They're very important to me. So you're going to get that information, but I'm going to say use caution at this point, because at this point, you're going to be really ready to try and sell some dental insurance or to start talking about dental insurance. No, you're going to put that little nugget in your pocket and you're going to let your client savor on the idea of having dental insurance, because you're not going to talk about that until you get to the point where you're ready to do your proposal. Here's another one. What if you want your client to think about critical illness insurance? You may ask your client, has there ever been anyone in your family history that has had cancer, heart attack, or stroke? Now, very few people in the United States have not been touched within their family by cancer, heart attack, and stroke. So that is a genuine concern for people, especially if they have a family. So asking that question sort of put the thought in the client's mind that that is something that I really need to think about. Once again, you're not going to sell anything. You're not going to talk about critical illness. You are just simply gathering information. Another one could be, if I could lower your deductible, how would that make you feel? So I'm just basically, most people want to have their deductible lowered, and you're getting information on, they're going to elaborate whether they are okay with their deductible or they are not okay with their deductible. They're going to tell you that. That's going to help you with your final presentation. When the timing is right, it will start to just make sense from the client's perspective that you include products like critical illness, dental insurance, AME, term life, just by simply asking questions to plant the seed with your client that this might be something that is going to benefit them later. Next, I want to bring up some things that the worksheet or the gathering worksheet that can also benefit you with. Consistency. So I don't know about you, but I know earlier in my career and when I was talking to clients, there has been times where I felt like the client was controlling the conversation. We were all over the place. One minute we're talking about short-term medical, the next minute we're talking about AME, next minute we're talking about going to the doctor, next minute we're just all over the place. Now, what a gathering sheet can help you with is actually keeping your thoughts together and helping you to control the conversation. Because as soon as the conversation starts to go in a direction that derails your flow, you can circle back around. And you can do that very gently by saying, Mr. Client, that's a great question. I promise you I'll come back to that. And then you go back to your gathering worksheet and you go back to your flow that you have. Now, one thing you don't want to do is make this an interrogation, because it's not. You want to make this very comfortable for your client when you are asking those questions. The next thing it provides you is thoroughness. Once again, you want to be thorough in your evaluation. It's like going to a doctor and going in for headaches, and the doctor just look at the surface of you and they're not thoroughly looking at the complete situation, and that can lead to a misdiagnosis. There is no difference with that when it comes to insurance. If we aren't asking the right questions in order to get the best diagnosis, then in a sense, we have failed in some sense. So that's why it is really important to have your questions together. Now, in the very beginning, you're not going to know all the questions, but this is a growing process. So as you're talking to clients, things come up. And you will leave some conversations and say, man, I wish I would have asked that question. Write that question down. That now comes on your gathering worksheet. Now, every question on your gathering worksheet might not be appropriate because, like I said, this is not an interrogation. But based on the flow of the call, you have predetermined questions that's going to help you better understand your client's needs, as well as help your client understand what it is that you are able to do for them. And the last thing is that this is a great resource to just capture information. And the reason why I say that is because I have gone out with joint calls with agents before, and they didn't use anything like this. They might have used just a notepad or a piece of paper or something, and they're just gathering information from their client that way. Or sometimes they just commit it to memory. And then when I come back, because I'm using during this same appointment my gathering worksheet and I'm filling it in the appropriate spots. After after the appointment is over, when I sit with these individuals and say, oh, tell me what you learned about your client, a lot of times it's all over the place, because they weren't organized in how they actually asked the question. So very, very important to make sure that you're asking those questions properly. So I'm going to get off my soapbox here, but the gather is really important. It's probably one of the most important stages that you have. Also, the next thing I want to talk about is be the consultant that your client needs. Ask the right questions in order to help you become that consultant. The first thing you want to make sure that you do is make sure that you're talking to the decision maker. If you're not talking to the decision maker, you really are wasting your time, and you're also setting yourself up for failure. Some people will present themselves as the decision maker and they're not. So it's best to ask them, are you the only one making the decision on this policy? If they are not, get the other person on the phone, because what's going to happen, I guarantee you, this person at the end of your presentation and at the end of your conversation, that person is going to tell you, okay, I'm going to take this back to my wife and I'll explain all of this to them. Now, there are days I can't explain this stuff. And now we're going to have a gentleman who knows nothing about insurance or very little about insurance go back and explain it to his wife. That is a recipe for disaster. So make sure that you have the right decision maker. The next thing is, a lot of times people are probably going to find this controversial. Stop with the chit chat. There's this old saying that clients buy from the people that they like. And I totally believe that. I believe no one's going to buy from someone that they don't like. But one of the things that I want you guys to think about is at the very beginning of the conversation, you are presenting yourselves as that professional and personable consultant. So in order to do that, you have to ask the right questions, and you also have to listen. So if you're spending most of your time, as soon as you get on the phone, hi, how are you? How's the weather there? How are things going? None of those things are going to help you diagnose your client's problem or help them. So chit chat is wonderful because it does bring in it creates wonderful relationships, but there is a time for chit chat, and usually it's after you've done your gather. Once you've understood your client's needs, that's when it's more appropriate to do maybe to talk more about the chit chatty type of things. Other thing that by doing this is it helps your clients clarify their own thinking. Most clients honestly don't know what they want. We've talked about that already. This is going to help you help them to identify their pains and their pleasures more so than what they might have thought in the past. And last, asking questions that encourage the clients to think of ideas that they would not normally thought about. Now remember, every plan that we have out there have gaps, whether it's an ACA plan, a short-term medical plan, fixed benefit, it doesn't matter. They all have holes, they all have gaps, and there are ways that we can make these plans more comprehensive. We can help them with their deductible. We can help them with their max out of pocket. In the event of an accident, we can help them with those expensive costs or hospitalization costs. We can help them with all of those things. They don't necessarily know that, but asking questions is going to help them think of ideas and things that maybe they would not ordinarily think of. So with that said, I want to turn to the actual script, and we're going to diagnose the script a little bit, and then I'm going to go through it fully. First thing when we're talking about the script flow, start with the first name. You don't want to seem like a salesperson. Nowadays, people are not like they were years and years ago where they wanted that more formal name to be used. People like to be called by their first name, so use their first name. But use caution in using nicknames. For instance, if someone's name is Robert and you want to attempt to call that person Bob, don't do it, because it can come across as disrespectful. If he wants you to call him by his nickname or Bob, then definitely do that. But otherwise, don't do that. Don't do that, because that just can appear very disrespectful. The next thing you want to do is to make sure that you are developing your elevator pitch. Now, people underestimate the elevator pitch. People always think, and I think it has to do with the word pitch. It sounds salesy. But your elevator pitch has two purposes. One is it's the introduction. It lets them know what you do. It's also a great tactic to use when you're overcoming objections. And what I mean by that is if you have someone that gives you an objection, you can turn around and give them your elevator pitch once again, as long as it's not too wordy or too long, so that they can be reminded what it is that you do and why you're having this conversation with them and how you can help them. So the elevator pitch, if you don't have one, it's very important to establish one because it actually serves as for two purposes: the introduction as well as helping you to overcome objections. And maybe one day I'll have a talk or a conversation just about how to use the elevator pitch to overcome objections, because it really does. Now, when you're creating your elevator pitch, make sure you're telling who you are, how much you cost, and how you're different from anyone else. Something also that to consider with most of what we say is timing. Make sure, like especially with the elevator pitch, you're not waiting to the end of the conversation to talk about what you do and how you do it and what your costs are. You're doing that right up front. You're letting the client know what's going on right up front. The next thing you want to do is make sure that you're setting expectations. Your time is just as valuable as their time is. They need to respect your time. You need to respect their time. Let your client know what is about to happen. This is very important. Once again, this is a timing thing. You want to do this early on in the conversation. Setting expectations too late in the conversation can create uncertainty of where the conversation is going, and you can quickly lose your client. So this is the first part of the script. I'm just going to go over this first part right now so you can actually hear the flow of how it's going to work. So very begin, we're making our call. Hi, John. My name is Lisa. I'm with Best Insurance. I'm calling in response to your inquiry regarding health insurance. Is this for you or for your family? Now, if you notice, I went right into it. I didn't say, how are you doing today? Are you having a wonderful day? I went right into saying, is this for you or for your family? I'm not wasting their time, and I'm trying to immediately establish myself as that trusted individual. The next thing, okay, John, my service here, this is my elevator pitch. Okay, John, my service is completely free of charge, and all I do is assist with healthcare questions and help lower your out-of-pocket responsibilities. How does that sound to you? Most people are going to say that sounds great. If you're going to do those things, that sounds great. Then setting the expectations. Okay, perfect. You should note that as a healthcare consultant, I have access to hundreds of plans. I need to ask you a few questions so that I can see which direction is best for you and for your family. So that's the very beginning. That's the very intro part of the conversation. Now let's get to the question part of the conversation. This is where the first part we're going to talk about is identifying the pains and the pleasures. So this is once again, what do they like about their plan, what they don't like, what would they like to see change. And some things that you can say in this process is, you can ask them, how much is your deductible? And they'll tell you. So how does that make you feel? Because a lot of times feelings have a lot to do with buying insurance, especially with the costs that they have to pay. Another one, if I can get your deductible down from $8,500, how would that make you feel? This is one of my favorite. I used to use this one all the time. Mr. Client, I usually use this toward the end of my questioning phase, just so that I understand if you can wave a magic wand that will allow you to have the perfect healthcare plan, what would that plan look like? And then I be quiet and I let them talk. Another one, if there was an emergency, do you know if your local hospital is within the network. Now, a lot of times we don't even talk about the network until we start talking about, what doctors they go through and all of that. But I challenge you to bring that up in the very beginning, because most people, you're creating that question in their mind, and you're creating that thing where you are making yourself look like the expert. Well, I never thought about that. I don't know what network my hospital is in. Okay, like I said, I'm going to help you answer your healthcare questions. So a lot of times in this step right here, when you're identifying the pains and things like that, you might have to help them with some of the terminology. Don't assume, guys, that your folks know what a deductible is, or coinsurance, or copay. So as you're talking to your clients, if you're asking them how much is your deductible, and you might want to say, are you familiar with what a deductible is? And they'll tell you, what is your current copay? How is that working out for you? Are you familiar with what copay means? So you're also being that educator to them, and you will not believe how people will appreciate this, especially those people that don't know. And most people are not going to tell you they don't know. They're just going to say, and then because they don't know, they won't buy, they don't trust, they hang up, they tell you, let me think about it. So educate as you go along. The next thing is, like I said, ask questions that will help fill in the gap. This is encouraging your clients to think of ideas that they may not ordinarily think of. And the way you do that is, and I've given you some examples already, in the event of an accident, I gotta try this again. In the event of an accident that will require you to pay all of your $8,500 deductible at once, are you prepared to pay that full amount today if you had to? Most people are going to say no. 52% of the people in the United States have less than $1,000 in their account. Most people are going to say no. This is going to make it real for them. This might make them think, I need to get my deductible down, and you can help them with that. The other one, does cancer, heart attack, stroke run in your family? Most people in their family at some point have been struck with dealing with a family member that's had cancer, heart attack, or stroke. This is a real concern for most of those individuals. The last thing, it's not on the screen. The last thing I do want to talk about is I never want to leave you guys without talking, when we're talking about questions, about the budget question, because we're all afraid to ask the budget question because we think we're going to scare our clients away. However, you truly can't put a plan together unless you know how much they need to spend. And there's a way you can ask this question without sounding like you're being a pushy salesperson, or if you are just trying to see how much money they are willing to spend. You don't have to worry about that. There's a way you can ask that question. And here it goes. If I can find the perfect plan for you, actually, I'm going to start it all over again. So I'm sure you're aware that there are 100 plans. There are 100 plans out there, Mr. Client. Depending on the way I build your plan for you, it could range in price drastically. What is a budget you feel comfortable spending each month on healthcare? Okay, I'm going to repeat that one more time. Mr. Customer or John, so that I'm sure you're aware that I am very sure that you are aware that there are hundreds of plans out there. Depending on the way that I build this plan for you, it really could range drastically in price. What is the budget you feel most comfortable spending each month on health insurance? A friendly way to ask the question. And then lastly, because I want to see how serious they are, if I find the perfect plan for you, I'm sure you would want to put this plan in place right away. Is that correct? That's that assumptive selling. I want to hear a yes, and I'm assuming they're going to want what it is that I'm going to present to them. Okay, so guys, these are some questions that you can use as you're talking to your clients that's going to help you be more consistent, that help you get the answers that you want to find, that you want to help your clients with. It helps your clients to think outside of the box. It's just a great way to be able to have a really informed conversation with your clients. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you liked it. I hope you found that it was helpful. And as always, guys, if you need anything, you can always reach out to us with any questions just by going to training at ahcpsales.com, or you can call us at the 877 number that is listed on the screen. That will do it for me for today. You guys have a safe and happy and wonderful week, and I'll see you guys next time.